Hi, everyone. My name is Crisel Valenzuela, and if you are new here, I give spiritual readings um, in this space that I call community readings for collective healing. And we're a little bit late today. I apologize. But thanks so much for joining. Thanks so much for watching the replay. And thanks so much for sticking around. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. We are going to reschedule my guest and have them come back at another time, and we'll be sure to share it with you guys. I think we're just playing with this time right now because I do feel like this live stream needs a new time. So we'll see how this works out. So if you are not already on my mailing list, something that I've been sharing is how to survive the holidays. So that's something I want to start with, and then we're going to jump into readings and we're going to have a conversation here. Let's see. If you are with me on this replay, just drop me a hi. Let me know where you're joining from in the comments. And we'll just give a few minutes to let people roll in and help them build the energy. So again, if you are not already on my mailing list, something that I started emailing the community about this last month is how to survive the holidays. And a big part of my practice is that everything is connected, that everything is one, that our immunity has a lot to do with our mental emotional well-being, that our immunity or physical well-being has to do with our mental emotional and our spiritual being, and how, again, everything is related, that science is spirituality and spirituality is a science. So hey everyone, hi Suzanne from Boston and Daphne near Washington. Thanks so much for joining, guys. And the reason why I share this is because winter, it's kind of ironic how during the winter, the holiday season, it's a time to slow down and to go inward and to really tend to yourself. But the holidays, historically, I have really bad allergies and I'm getting over them. But the holidays are historically about a time of giving and maybe even over giving too much of yourself, giving more of the resources than you can truly afford. It's about, people think about speeding up things and getting busier with all the social gatherings, all of the festive gatherings. And so it's really interesting, and it's something that I've been reflecting on, because if this is a time for us to go inward and tend to ourselves, why have we made it a international pastime? National pastime, because I'm in the US and this is very American, to make ourselves busier and to overload our social calendar, to overload our responsibilities, and just do everything that sickens us, that takes away from our health. And to dive a little deeper into that, let's take a step back and think about the symbolism of light. I have a very creative family. We love to draw. We love to doodle. We love to play with paint. We love to play with color. And my kids take art classes in school. And they were asking, what is white? Is white no color, or is black no color? And I was telling them, well, like, when you think of a prism, white is the presence of all the colors, and black is the presence of no colors. It's actually when things are empty. And so when I was explaining this to them, I was thinking of how winter is a very literal interpretation of having everything and then moving back into darkness, because it's during winter that we have daylight savings and we have shorter days and longer nights. So it's this idea that we're drawing out the light, drawing everything out, and coming into darkness to be not alone, not necessarily alone, but to simplify things, to take out all the noise, which is what white can feel like sometimes. It can feel very bright. It can feel very overwhelming because it's so bright. And how winter really is a season of hibernation and reflection. And so when we think about these seasonal practices, these festive activities, what is it that we're really doing? Like, what is our true purpose and intention in practicing these different rituals of shopping, crowded, going into crowds, um, sensory overload with all the sounds and all the lights and all the things, and even just overextending ourselves, trying to meet all the social obligations, all the different families that we're a part of, all the different social circles that we're a part of, trying to cram all of the activities in, and how this is also known as a season of flu season, and how as you overextend yourself in all these different areas, that you start to take away from your energy. You start to run low on your energy. And it's not just a spiritual thing, it is a whole mind, body, spirit experience. Because as you overextend yourself physically, or as you overextend yourself mentally and emotionally by going to all the things and stressing yourself out, you start to take away, it starts to reflect in your physical being, which is how our immunity starts to lower. Because everyone has an electromagnetic field, and that's science. That's not just spirituality, that's science. Your electromagnetic field is your aura, and when you are confident, empowered, and strong and healthy, your electromagnetic field is strong. You have strong immunity. And then as you put yourself in situations that compromise the strength or capacity, ooh, I'm getting lightheaded, strength or capacity of your confidence, your well-being, then your electromagnetic field starts to weaken. And a good example of this, and just drop questions if you guys have questions about this. A good example of this is when you do muscle testing. So I learned about muscle testing from Donna Eden. Donna Eden is not the creator of muscle testing. Muscle testing has been around for a long time. It's another form of dowsing. If you've ever been interested in using a pendulum, pendulums are a practice of dowsing, and dowsing started out as a very scientific practice. So with muscle testing, what you do is you basically test yes or no responses. And if you have a yes response, the muscle is strong. So oftentimes it's like you stick out your you stick out your arm and you ask a question, and then someone will press down on your arm. If you have a yes response, then your muscle is strong and then they won't be able to push down your arm. If you have a no response, then it's weak. The muscle weakens and it goes down. And that's muscle testing. Another form of muscle testing is you have your fingers like this. I also learned about muscle testing from Donna Eden and Theta Healing. So what you do is you hold, it's actually these two fingers, your middle finger and your thumb. You hold those two fingers together, and when you have a yes response, you won't be able to break the fingers apart, but when you have a no response, you will be able to break them apart. Same concept as the arm. And so then you start asking these questions, and yes is a strengthened response, can't break it. No is a weakened response to break it. But this effect happens throughout your whole body, that when you're in the no state, when you're in contradiction with yourself, that's when your immunity, your electromagnetic field in your muscles weaken, and you're open, you're vulnerable, and you're permeable. And that's when other energies can come in into your field. So this is why I'm talking about it today, because as we think about how can we survive the holiday season, tend to yourself. If that means that you feel like you need the socializing, if you need the social aspect, then by all means go for it. But then if you feel like, and this is not muscle testing, this is actually just listening to your inner voice and listening to your intuition, aka your higher self. If you're feeling like doing one more cookie exchange or doing one more family gathering is going to take away from your quality of life, then set that boundary for yourself so that you can show up to the next one. Because if you don't set that boundary with yourself and you go and compromise yourself by doing that, you will weaken your immunity. You will get sick. You will not, I don't know which way you'll get sick, because it could be a ton of different ways. I don't know what kind of energy is available to you at the time that you compromise yourself. But allow yourself to have that boundary and have that self-preservation so that you can show up to the next gathering. Because otherwise you may get sick and then miss a whole ton of gatherings. And that is my soapbox for today for surviving the holiday season. Okay, so if you guys have any questions on that, feel free to drop it in the chat. I love talking about the connection between mind, body, and spirit. It's why I'm an avid chiropractic patient. It's why I'm an avid acupuncture patient. It's why I don't just try to tend to my mind and to my spirituality, but I tend to my physical well-being too, through how I eat and how I exercise. So yeah. Okay. So I am going to take some questions today. Excuse me. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I can't guarantee that I'll get to all of them. I will most likely save them to be able to answer them at some point in another capacity. So you'll just have to stay tuned. But I'm going to go back and take a look. If you are just joining, drop me, say hi in the chat and let me know where you're joining from. So I'm going to jump to Suzanne's question that was asked earlier. And her question is about career and how she had a situation just end on Monday and wanted some clarity. Okay. So what I'm feeling, Suzanne, is that the situation that ended on Monday, it feels like a breakup. So it's not just, it feels like it's not just ending that opportunity, but it also feels like stepping away completely. Sometimes people leave a company and then there may be an opportunity to go back, but I feel like this is a very clear stepping away from. I feel like this feels like something that was done to you, but I also, this opportunity ending on Monday feels like it was something that was done to you, but it wasn't done to you. It was actually of your own doing. And when I say of your own doing, it's not something bad. It was simply that it feels like you're coming more into realizing yourself and affirming your identity. And with that, this job no longer was an energetic match. So what is it that you're working towards is what I'm asking here. So when I feel into this job that you had, that you left, it feels very cold and it feels frozen. Very specifically, it feels frozen, as if stifling of personal growth, stifling of career growth, and it feels just like very old and stuck in its own old ways. It also feels like there's not a lot of energy flowing through it. So you are leaving and you are moving on because you need to find something that allows you to move and have full capacity of yourself. And when I say full capacity of yourself, it feels like you are not being challenged in that last opportunity, and you need to be in a position that makes full use of your abilities. And as you move on to the next thing, it's going to feel very slow, and that's because we are learning new habits here. I say we're learning new habits because you're not looking for a job just to find a job anymore. You're looking for the job that is aligned with your beliefs and values, because you're looking for, I feel like you're looking for longevity in a role in a company. And that comes from feeling like a personal connection with what you're doing. So like anyone can go do anything actually, but do you want to do it? That's one level of it. But anyone can go and do a job. Like I could go work at the grocery store and be a cashier. And hold on. Okay, so anyone can go and be a cashier, but not everyone actually wants to. And then on top of that, what if the company that you work for doesn't actually, like, what if the company you work for is a very conservative company, but you're actually quite liberal? So these are the things that you're starting to look for. And as you make your search, you're going to find passion for the company and for the job. And that's how you will know that you have found it. But once that happens, once you start to feel the passion, it's going to happen very quickly because it just feels hot and you're melting and warming up. So that's what it feels like. So Suzanne, let's see what else here. And Suzanne, I'm just tapping into timelines. Know that anything that I share with you here is up to you what you do with it. It's up to you to take what you want to take from it or to leave behind whatever you don't want to accept. Take what resonates and leave the rest. And what you do with this information can change the timeline. So if you move forward with it, there's a possibility that you can even fast track it. If you decide that this is not for you, that you want to go in a totally different direction, that is also very possible. I say this because I just tapped into the timeline, and it won't feel like you're truly settled into a new career until June. I feel like for you, that probably feels like a long time, but to me, that feels like that could happen very quickly because time can happen very quickly. I feel like this time right now it almost feels like you need to allow yourself to work with the seasons a little more. So as I mentioned, winter is a time of reflection and hibernation. So just like bears, we like kind of come into ourselves. And then spring is when we start to thaw out and we start to come out of this hibernation and we start to plant the seeds for like a very vibrant bloom of the summer. And then fall is all about taking another period of reflection, but we're still kind of like out. We're transitioning into winter. Like fall is a very transitionary season. I feel like for you, take advantage of this winter to really reflect on what those beliefs and values are for you in a role, in a job, and in a company, because it feels like you're going to be very deep in interviews in March, which is why you will be settled by June. I hope that this is helping you. And let's see. One thing that I notice is I feel like for you, it's almost like it's very easy to go very far, like be very polarizing, because I feel like for you, I talk about passion and finding passion. through the career and through the company, and then feeling like you're thawing out and that you're feeling very connected and rejuvenated and energized for this. But it feels like, don't get so impassioned that you about like what it is that they do, that you forget how you feel about it. Because it's about aligning. It's not about being inspired so much by someone else's vision that you're just there to support their vision. It's about a symbiotic relationship where you find alignment and shared values and goals and beliefs, so that you feel like you are getting as much in return as you are giving, so that it feels fulfilling. So that's the last thing that they wanted to share. Okay. So thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Suzanne, for letting me read for you. If you don't mind just sharing anything that really resonated for you from that. Okay, so Daphne, any guidance about how to handle my current female body situation? And I just turned 50 and wonder if menopause is coming, so that my very heavy finally end. Should I stick to the pill? So Daphne's question is, with all these different changes happening in her body, should she what kind of medical intervention should she consider? Let's see here. And I do need to share, you should definitely have this conversation with your doctor as well. And that you should, anything that I share, any information that I share should be taken in tandem with professional medical advice, because I am not a doctor. I can give you the spiritual guidance and then do what you will with it. Let's see here. I do want to share something that my acupuncturist told me, because I also have very heavy flows, and it's been something that I've been focusing on for the last few years to manage naturally. And when you think of your flow from an energetic standpoint, what my acupuncturist was saying is, and she's actually a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, like she studied traditional Chinese medicine. She was telling me that where your energy is the weakest, that's where energy flows. Like, if you think of there being a hole, that is where the flow will go to, or like a hole, an opening. That's not the right word that I want to use. If there is a void, that's where the energy is going to flow to fill that void. And so from an energetic standpoint, when we are weak in our sacral center, that could result in the heavy flow. When we think of our sacral center, that's about creativity. How are you bringing to life your inspiration? It's also, how are you feeling? How are you being sensual with yourself? And how are you balancing that energy? Excuse me. So Daphne, specifically with you, it actually feels like I see a lot of heat and fire when I feel into that energy. And that heat and fire can sometimes feel like like there's too much energy there. Like we're overexerting ourselves and overgiving. And that kind of energy is by all means very typical for women. And that's just because of the society that we exist in. There's the archetype of the mother martyr. And this mother martyr archetype is the woman that gives all of herself, to the point that she has nothing to give to herself. It's the archetype of the woman that gives all of herself until she is burnt out, exhausted, broken down, and can't do anything for herself. And because she has spent her life teaching everyone else, refusing help and not accepting anything because she's only here to give, then that's just the end of her. And so it feels like this heat that I'm feeling in your sacral area is from that kind of energy where you're giving so much of yourself and that there's nothing left for you. So from an energetic standpoint, from a spiritual point, it feels like allowing yourself to first do the divine feminine healing, to allow yourself to receive, allow yourself to give more to yourself. And I find that it's actually quite rare that women are giving to themselves, and giving to themselves in a balanced way where they let people help them. They happily accept assistance. And they're okay with saying no or allowing people to make their mistakes. So let's see here. So I am seeing from, I feel like this is one of your guides. What they're showing me is some like uterus massage. Um, they don't think that you need to focus on like a serious medical intervention, but that there's more like more, I think they call it manual medicine, like more on the massage front that you could do. And um, there's a uterus massage called Mercier. Let's see if I could find the link to it. Okay, so there's this massage called Mercier therapy. I'm dropping it in the chat, and I encourage you to take a look at that, because I see a lot of massage and movement for your uterus, for your cervix, for that area, and it feels like bringing it back to life would be really nourishing and helpful for your reproductive health. Even though you're at that age and you don't want to be able to, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you want to be able to reproduce, but it's not always about procreation. It's simply about the health of your organs. And so sometimes we have to massage our muscles, and that's where this is really helpful. Sometimes that kind of deep tissue massage in that area helps also break up any kind of scarring that you could have in there. It's something, Mercier therapy, I did do Mercier therapy. I did do Mercier therapy, if it wasn't last year, it was the year before. And what they do is they're actually moving around your uterus and like doing massage to awaken it. I am not a practitioner of Mercier therapy. I was just a patient, and I had like 4 or 5 sessions. So definitely look into that. From your guides, they're showing me a lot of like cozy, cuddly, like wrapping yourself in a blanket, having a hot, warm drink, and just being with yourself. Because I feel like this period of menopause is going to feel like grief, and that there isn't anything that you actually have to do other than to be a witness to it. And the way that I'm seeing this is like you wrapped in this cozy blanket, having all the nice things, all the nice fabrics, making yourself feel very held, and having like a hot cup of tea with you, all to be with the grief, to think about it, feel it, and allow it to go. And this very slow practice, this very intimate practice of just being there with whatever it is that you're going through, and just letting that be the ritual, like letting that be enough. So often we're part of a society that just wants to do things, do lots of things, and do it fast and like be able to check the box. But it feels like that is enough, that is plenty, that is sufficient, and then that's what it feels like is really needed. I feel like I wonder, do you have a male physician? Because when I feel into the relationship, because my last question, like a lot of this was spiritual guidance, and I was just asking if you can trust your doctor, and I feel like it's a male doctor, and that you actually don't really care for him. And it feels like, okay, so you have a female doctor, because it feels like there's a male doctor and that you don't really care for them. So it just feels like um, finding the right, finding first, feeling like you have a relationship with your physician. Because I can speak to this. I used to be a part of a HMO network where you kind of just like see whoever. And when you're seeing someone different every time and they're just talking to you purely about whatever it is that you came in for, but they're not talking to you about the bigger picture, that's like a hyper-focused approach, when really everything matters and everything is connected. Coming back to the beginning of this session, everything is connected and they need to have all of that taken into account. So it does feel a bit like, oh, excuse me. It feels like, consider talking to a naturopath. Consider speaking with a naturopath about how to manage. Okay. So consider talking to a naturopath about how to manage your flow. And I'm just going to drop this here. So yeah, talk to a naturopath. Naturopaths typically aren't covered by insurance, but it'd be worth a shot just to try it out for the first time and see if that's your jam. Because naturopaths are a very spiritual approach. It's science. They're working with your like natural rhythms of your body, working within. It's less about using pharmaceuticals. Sometimes pharmaceuticals are involved because sometimes that's what you need, but it's more about working with natural medicines. So it feels like working with that, seeing if that's your jam, and then I feel like you're really going to love the naturopath that you find. And it also feels very bright. Like it feels very bright, and I see like really big smiles. So it feels like a naturopath is a really good way to go. Let's see here if there's anything else. And it feels like that is complete. I do feel, it does feel like working with a naturopath is going to give you some options for treatment that are much more natural and aren't going to make sense to you. It honestly feels like you're going to try these things. It's not going to make sense to you, but it's going to make you feel much more confident in the care that you're because of the approach, because of the transparency, because of it's rooted in more natural methods. But that you're also going to feel better from working within it. Okay. Okay. And that's it. So thank you so much, Daphne, for allowing me to read for you. And this is that link for Mercier Therapy if anyone else is interested in it. I think you can go onto that website and look for practitioners in your area. It can be a really amazing experience. You're very welcome, Daphne. I'm glad that I could help Spirit bring that information to you. Mercier Therapy is deep tissue massage. So I just want to be transparent about that it's deep tissue massage. When I did Mercier Therapy, my practitioner had this machine that puts, I forget what it's called, but it basically uses electromagnetic therapy. And so the electromagnetic therapy, I'm so glad that you feel safe to ask this of me. So thank you, Daphne. I honor you. Yeah, so you can even look for practitioners that use this electromagnetic therapy. And what the electromagnetic therapy does is it puts currents through the practitioner, through their body. They are a conduit for it. And wherever they touch you, the electricity, the energy goes into your body to then send pulses to strengthen and contract that muscle. And so in a way, it's strengthening the muscle that way. It's like shock therapy, except you don't feel the shock. You do feel, it would be the same as someone pouring energy into you. So you do feel very energetic, very clear. You feel amazing afterwards. It would be like having Reiki done almost, except you're not going to fall asleep because you're getting deep tissue massage. And that's something that I had done while I had Mercier Therapy. My uterus was so low, and when I had Mercier Therapy, that was really the beginning of like doing a lot more reproductive health for myself. And when I had Mercier Therapy, I've had a C-section, and I had my C-section. My kid is 10 years old now, and there was so much scarring that my not the fallopian tubes, I don't know, but there's like parts of the reproductive organs that look like balls at the end, and it's the part that releases the egg, and they were almost fused with scarring. So the Mercier Therapy really loosened up a lot of that scarring. And then the shape of my stomach, because my C-section scarring was so thick that it changed the landscape of my my lower abdomen area. And so everything is related. Everything is related. When I would do yoga, I wouldn't be able to do child's pose because I didn't realize how much that scarring was affecting my ability to move and stretch in that way. And then after I completed all my sessions, I was actually able to get my hips really low to the ground, because that scarring wasn't there anymore. So thank you everyone for joining me today. I hope that this was helpful for you. If you, yes, ovaries. Thank you, Daphne. So thank you so much for joining, and I hope you share this with someone or take a look back at any of my past recordings. It does not matter when you watch it. You will find exactly what you're looking for. So thanks again. I will see you all next month. Join my mailing list to stay in touch with me, and have a wonderful day.